Hello and welcome back to another video, and in today's video we are going topping. So yeah, I'm going topping two fairly sort of soft fields, but because we got a week of literally dry weather, very little to no rain fell, I'm going to chance a bit of topping in those fields. And the reason why I'm doing it now is because the 5 cows and the 5 calves are in this field grazing it, so I wanted them to graze it first, and then once they were brought off the field, then I'd go in and top it. So it's the fields just over here. We'll have a quick look at them. So there's 2 fields I want to top, and they're in and around this size. They're not awfully big, so they shouldn't take too long. Now this is the first field, and when it comes to this field here, I'm going to have to top this in 2 sections. I'm going to have to top this half and then top that half separately. I'm not going to be able to do it all at one go, because roughly here in the middle of the field, you can see here it's sort of all boggy and stuff, and I don't think driving up and down here every time I'm going around the field with a tractor and topper, it's probably going to not end too well. So we'll just go around this half and top that, and then go around this half and top that, even though a lot of the rushes are in this section here. Now what this section is, it used to be a drain and now it filled up, and it's been filled up for many years now. As far as I can imagine, ever since I was a young gossawer, it was filled, and always the softest part of this field. Also just along up there is also a little bit sketchy, but I walked it yesterday along with the second field, which is just out there. Don't know if you can see it, but it's just out there. Is also a fairly soft field in patches. So yeah, it's and now what I'm going to use is the 135. I'm going to put the topper onto the 135 and use the twin wheels. Now I'd say the International could manage to top this field. Even through them sketchy parts, it might be able to just about manage by the skin of its teeth to manage to top this field. But when it comes to this field, there's a bigger corner or a bigger stretch of the field that's a bit more sketchy. You know, once I get 2 or 3 rings around, and the more further I get away from the, you know, just there along the wood line, the less of a sketchy area it will be. But in this field, which is the other field I want to top as well, because you can see here rushes, I want to get them topped, and hopefully next year when they start growing again, we'll get them sprayed. This field and that field isn't in the acre scheme, so we can boom spray all these without any trouble or hassle. And I want to do this field as well. You can see that there's rushes there as well, and usually just that section and that corner beyond there for a stretch, and up along that wood line there for a couple of rings is usually the most sketchiest part. Along here and the middle of the field is usually a safe bet. It's not awfully bad. So I want to come in here with the topper and top that and top this. Now I did contemplate coming in with the 135 and the mulcher, because obviously the mulcher will be lighter on the back axle and the back wheels than the topper, so there won't be as much weight on the back wheels, and I can maybe travel more softer ground more better. But looking at the rushes here and the rushes within that field, they're all a bit heavy and thick, and I don't think the 135 will manage to get through them with the mulcher. Even though I could go around it once with the mulcher lifted up sort of relatively high and take the tops off them, and then go around it again with the mulcher. But I'll chance it with the topper. The 135 does have twin wheels, so we should be okay on that front. And obviously if I run into a little bit of bother, the front wheels will go first, so I'll have enough of time to stop, lift up the topper and back out of that section. Rather than the International, which has narrow wheels front and back. It doesn't have wide tyres, they're fairly narrow, and it doesn't have twin wheels, while the 135 does have twin wheels. So yeah, that's what we're going doing today, doing a bit of topping with the 135. Now we have done topping once before with the 135. This isn't going to be the first time. We've done topping before, but that's when we had the older topper before we done it up. So that's when that's when it had the old skeleton frame. And for those people who don't know what I'm on about, I do have a couple of videos on the channel of the old topper. Obviously we kept a couple of bits from the old one, the A-frame, the lugs, the gearbox, the skids are all new. Basically the old topper was starting to rush, the sheets, so we decided to put new sheets on it, but when we stripped the old sheets off it, we realised that the actual frame, the skeleton, was sort of dodgy as well. So we just basically rebuilt the whole topper, keeping a few of the original parts. So back then when we used the topper and the 135, it was a bit lighter because it might have been a little bit more rotten and rustier than what it is now. It has a bit more weight on it now. So yeah, but the fields did get about 5 days, 6 days of good dry weather, as I mentioned. So hopefully, fingers crossed, we'll get those 2 fields topped without any issues, I'm hoping. But anyways, I have to take off the transport box on the 135 and rig it up then to the topper and see how it looks and how it will do. And there we are, the topper is on the 135. Now that's something that you don't usually see, and it's lifting it fairly good and well off the ground, as you can see, and it is lifting it. The front isn't lifting, the steering might be a little bit light, I don't know yet, but so far so good, and fingers crossed it stays good. But look at that, huh? Now I think the way I'm going to go, there's 2 ways I can get into this field. I can go down that gate and then you go in at an angle and into that field, but I don't know it'll be all that easy with the topper on, slinging out, because you won't have enough wiggle room. Or I could go in through this field down, and there's a very, very shallow drain that I could cut across and start in that field and then work my way out. So I might try the drain one first, and if that's looking a little bit iffy, then I might chance trying to wiggle my way down that way. So fingers crossed, fingers crossed. Well, I crossed the drain with fairly good ease. You can see this is where I crossed. You can see small little tyre tracks there and small little tyre tracks there. If I'm going back again, I might go down a different route and not travel the same route, if you know what I mean. But anyways, since we're in this field first, we'll top this field first, and then we can open the gate here and go into that field and top that half. And then there's, up along the ditch, there's a little bit of stone that might be able to keep me up from that drain that's going across, and then I can top the last half of the field out there. And then I might have to travel my whole way down here and out through the drain and whatnot. But yeah, if a shear bolt breaks, I have the shear bolts above in the toolbox of the International, along with the hammer, the vice grips, the punch, the spanners, all that sort of fun stuff. But we'll go nice and handy, nice and steady. We're in no rush, no panic. So, unlike the International, the 135 has 2 PTO settings. You have one that the PTO will spin the same speed that the wheels are spinning, or you have the other setting, which is very similar, and what's in 99% of tractors out there, is that the more revs you have, the faster the engine is turning, the faster the PTO will spin, which is the setting that I'm going to be using today. Alright, so clutch fully down to the floor and lever back, and lift the foot up off the clutch, and it's spinning. Now we are in action. So I think high first is the ideal gear. And we are topping! Happy days, it's going well. Now there is a few obstacle courses in this field. There's one or two stones that are jutting out of the ground that I have to keep an eye for, and there's a couple of branches as well jutting up out of the ground that I also have to keep an eye out for. One thing that I will say is that I am missing the power steering for turning. I am missing that quite dearly. The power steering in the International. But we'll manage. We will manage. Anyways, I'm going to put the camera down. I'll do a couple of rings, and then I'll set up the camera somewhere and get a bit of a time lapse. Absolutely outstanding. Absolutely. Nothing wrong with 45 horsepower for topping. Nothing wrong with it indeed. It cut the rushes fairly well. But that's both a partnership between the 135 and the topper. Obviously if the blades on the topper were blunt, it wouldn't cut them as well. And obviously a little bit of horsepower. You don't need an awful lot for topping, and as you can see there, 45 horsepower done this before and after. Now the twin wheels did flatten some of the rushes and the topper wasn't able to get a whole lot of them, but again I can come at them in the opposite direction. Let's say I went around clockwise. If I go around anti-clockwise, I can get any bits that I missed, but it's no big deal because they're going to start growing again, the rushes, and we can just get them sprayed. So just the big bulk of the rushes, I lost them. It's just a lot neater the way it is now. Also I want to go around now the perimeter of the field with this bit, the bit that's sticking out up against the ditch lines. So I'm going around the opposite direction than what I was going around. Here and in there, usually the softest parts, you can kind of see all the muck and guthrie bits there, and in there I'll be around the same. So what I'm going to do is turn on the topper, back in, drive out, back in, drive out, back in, drive out, and the same here. And if I think it's getting too sketchy, then I'll just abandon these bits altogether, because these are usually the softest parts of the field. So I'm going to do all that off camera, go slowly around the outside of the field to get any bits that I missed, and then I'll do this section here, and then we can go out and do the other fields. But it did surprise me, I didn't think it'd be able to do a whole pile, but it managed it. Now going through the more heavier thicker rushes. It did kill the engine a bit. Not in a bit of foot throttle to keep the engine revs up could help. So yeah, anyways, I managed it. When the engine did start to go down a bit, I just gave it a bit of foot throttle, a bit of extra revs, and it managed to get through the heavier bits of it. But yeah, I'm very surprised with the results, very surprised. Obviously if I was on the International, the narrower wheels, it wouldn't be trampling as much of the rushes, but because the twin wheels is on the 135, it is trampling that little bit more, and the topper just mightn't be able to cut them. But as I mentioned, you can see that they're leaning that way, because that's why I topped them that way. But if I came in this way, I'll be able to cut them. But it's not really a big deal. There's another one there, as you can see. I topped it that way, but if I come in and topped it this way, it'll cut them no bother. That's just the twin wheels for you. But if I was to come in here with the International and top it, I wouldn't be as comfortable as sitting in the International topping than I was sitting above on that with the twin wheels topping. There was a couple of spots where it was a bit sketchy, but nothing too major. You can see there and there, but the twin wheels did keep me up safe and sound, and the diff lock also helped as well. Anyways, I'm going to finish off this field, do the bits that I've left to do, and we'll move on to the next one. All clean and all tidy. So I went around the perimeter of the field with the topper, the bit that juts out, leaning more towards the area that I couldn't get. So I went around in the opposite direction. I also topped, but I missed that bit. It's quite guttery here though, as you can see. It's not the best. And you can see there also not the best. So I'm going to leave that because it's a bit too sketchy and too guttery. But I managed to do this. For the first couple of ups and downs it was a bit guttery, but it started to get better the further out I went. But that was the only way I could do that, back in and drive forward and back in and drive forward. So that's all nice and tidied. Any of the stragglers that the top I missed, because the twin wheels sort of flattened it, I went around and topped them as well. So all the little stragglers are also topped and cut as well. So that's that field more or less done. Come in now sometime next year and get the rushes sprayed, and this field could do with a bit of rolling as well at some point next year. But yeah, anyways, we'll open up this gate and we'll get a start made on the next field. There's another field done, as you can see, topped very nicely indeed, and the 135 is doing exceptionally well. So as I mentioned earlier on in the video, sections just up here along the ditch were the most sketchiest, but the more rings I done around the field and the further in I came, obviously the better it got. So you can kind of see for yourselves here. Some guttering and bogging, but nothing too hectic and nothing too major. If this was if I come in here now with the International and came down the same route, I think the back wheels and the front wheels would have dug into the ground a little bit more. Obviously the front wheels on the 135 might have dug in, but then the back wheels obviously kept me up and done less digging into the ground and maybe filled up some of the holes that the front wheels created, which is not too bad. But yeah, the results speak for itself. Again, this section of the field, I was way more comfortable topping that on the 135 than what I would have been topping it on the International. Whole lot more comfort. I didn't really need to press the diff in that often, maybe for once or twice for the first ring or two, and I think that's it. And I mightn't even have needed to have done it then either, but I done it anyways. So the next thing I want to do is get these rushes here topped, and to do that it's the same situation that I done out in that field beyond there, where I just back in and drive forward and back in and drive forward, just to tidy that corner up as well. And at this drain, I was thinking maybe I can top it, but I'm not 100% sure, because I don't want to be doing too much travelling on this, doing a lot of bogging and all that, because it is quite soft and the ground is quite uneven as well, so it could do a little bit of bogging between the tractor and the topper. I'm not sure, but one of the ways I could have done it was, while I'm on this half of the field, back up, drive forward, back up, drive forward, so on and so forth, and then when I'm on that side of the field, back up, drive forward, back up and drive forward, and just get as much of the rushes topped that way as I can. Or I could drive sort of this way on it, sort of go up and down this way, rather than going around and around, going up down that way, the other way, if you know what I mean. Because I don't want to be, because there is a slight incline here, a slight hill, and I don't want to be driving up that with the topper down with the tractor, because you just, a lot of bogging this time of year, especially in the west of Ireland, when the grounds conditions are getting a little bit more wetter and softer. But again, as I mentioned, I could come in here maybe next year. I could come in here over the winter if we get hard frost, and just top that when the ground is sort of solid. I could do that as well, but as I mentioned, this field and the other field I topped and that bigger field isn't in the acre scheme, so we can be boom spraying the rushes in that as well next year. And obviously if the field would want rolling as well. But anyways, again, there is two ways I can get up to this half of the field. I could come down that gateway there, but you have to come in at sort of an angle, because there's two gates and they don't match up. One is a little bit to the left and the gate going into the field is a little bit to the right, so you have to come in at an angle, and it'll be quite tight with the topper on. So there is this section here where we did dump a load of stones for this type of scenario where we'd have to travel up and down, but because the cattle are in here, I think they have a lot of the stones trampled down. Now there is a section here, hard ground, solid, this section more softer, so maybe if I keep up tight to here as I can, I might be able to drive up to this section, get it topped, and then to come back out, go down and out the gate and cross the drain again. So we'll chance that and see how we get on. At least one half of the tractor will be on solid ground, the other half will be on a more sketchier, softer ground, but it should get up, it should. All done and dusted, and I managed to get up in this section here. You had one side of the tractor on the more harder ground, and then you had the other side on the more softer ground, but you can see it didn't leave much of a track, so we got up and down, no bother. And we got all this topped. I'm going to leave that because I don't want to do too much mucking about in the field and all that. I did mention the two ways that I could have topped it, but I don't think I'll bother. I can come in again, and same with that little corner up there that's a little too soft as well that I left out. I could come in here during November or December if we get a night of hard frost and the ground is as hard as the road out there, then I can come in and maybe top these without worrying about getting stuck or bogging up the place or anything like that. Or it can be left until next year, maybe in the summertime, because again, this field isn't this field isn't in the acre scheme, so we can top this at any time of the year that we want, unlike the fields that we have in the acre scheme that we kind of top between like the 15th of March to the 1st of July. So we can top this field any time of the year that we like. I also tidied up any of the stuff that was grown in the corner there, and over here as well I've done a little bit of tidying up as well. You can kind of see here a bit more under the tree here, so that was more of back in, drive out, back in, drive out, and so on and so forth. So I have all that tidied up. There's a load of nettles and undergrowth and all that sort of stuff, and the same here, you can see it's all tidied up as well. Basically the same, just ungrazed bad grass and nettles and other sort of unwanted undergrowth and whatnot. And again the same, back in, drive out, back in, drive out, and so on and so forth. So, and that's the top half of this field done, and the other half of the field done, and I have the sort of woody boggy fields done as well. So the topper can be parked up now. That's it done for a while anyways. We'll see, we might bring it out in the middle of winter time if we do get hard frost and it does harden up the ground conditions and fields. We can just then go around to the bits that we left out and tidy them up as well. But yeah, topped it away, no bother. You don't need those big extravagant tractors with a load of horsepower. A little simple Massey Ferguson 135, 45 horsepower, does the job absolutely nicely. As you can see, the results speak for themselves, and out in this field as well, looks very nice and tidy as well. Lovely, 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 lovely. I think this field was probably more the worst. There was more softer, sketchier parts in this field than there was in that field. But yeah, a few little tracks it made in this field and a few little tracks it made in that field. And again, if I was to do with the International, I don't think there'd be any hope topping this field with the International. I think it would have gone down a certain depth and the tyres would have just started spinning, and you know, if you lifted up the top but then and pressed the diff, it might get out by itself, and it might not. But if you were to top this with the International, you just do a lot of bogging and digging up. The 135 was way better for this field, topping wise, this time of the year and the ground conditions that's in it. And I probably could have got away with topping this with the International, but since the topper was on the 135, might as well top that with the 135 as well, which I did. And more of the topped rushes there. But anyways, that's a good work done for a tractor that doesn't get much PTO work. You know, it has the transport box on the back, so it gets plenty of lift work, and it does the rolling as well, so it gets plenty of pulling work as well. But very rarely does it get anything PTO work wise. So it's nice, and it's a good thing to get something for it to do something with the PTO, so it doesn't seize up or anything like that. But I'll clean off the sort of grass and stuff that's on the top of here, bring it back up to the yard, take it off, and that is the topping more or less done. So anyways, that's going to be the end of today's video. Thank you very much for watching. Leave down in the comments what you think. I might do a bit more topping with the 135 in more softer grounds, knowing that it is well able for it, which is not too bad. But anyways, thank you very much for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Check out my merch, the link to that will be down in the description, and I'll see you in my next video very soon. Take care.